Sometimes the biggest lessons in life show up in the most unexpected places. Not in some dense philosophy book, but maybe in a video game about walking. Seriously, today we're going to dive into a game called The Trail and see how its simple path can actually reveal a really profound way of looking at the world.
So, right off the bat, the trail has this fascinating problem. Is it supposed to be this super chill, meditative walk in nature, or is it a frantic, high-stakes race for survival? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is it's whatever you decide it is.
I mean, just look at how players talk about it. It's got this total split personality. On one hand, you have people calling it a gentle trip, a really relaxing time. And on the other, you've got players describing it as hard labor, a total grind. So how can one game be both of those things at the same time? It really all comes down to how the game is built.
On the surface, the gameplay loop is super simple, right? You walk along a path, you pick up sticks and stones, you craft them into tools and clothes, you trade them at campsites, and, you try to survive. But, and this is a big but, underneath all that, the game is constantly pushing you. Your clothes are wearing out, your tools are breaking, you're getting hungry. There's this little nudge always to go faster, get richer, be more efficient.
And that is the real heart of our story today. What happens when a player sees all that pressure and just decides to ignore it? What if they choose to walk a completely different path, even while they're on the exact same trail as everyone else?
So, let me introduce you to our hero, a player character named Ever Otsar. And that name? It's basically her mission statement. It's a mix of the word ever, as in forever, and the Hebrew word Otsar, which means treasure. So her goal isn't really to collect a bunch of valuable stuff, it's to find the treasure that's always there, just waiting to be noticed, in the journey itself.
Now, if you're a typical gamer, what some call an achiever, you look at her stats and you probably think, yikes, what a failure. She's barely traveled anywhere, she's only won 20 trades, and she's made almost zero money. But what if you flip the script? What if you look at this as an explorer? Well, then slow progress isn't a failure. It's a choice to have a really rich, dense journey. And making no money isn't a mistake. It's a conscious rejection of the whole rat race.
And get this, she collected around 27 items for every single kilometer she walked. 27. That's not just grabbing resources. That is an act of deep, meticulous observation. It shows she was playing with this incredible patience, where every little stick and every humble stone was worth noticing, worth valuing. A true treasure hunt.
And this quote from an analysis of her journey just sums it all up perfectly. She's intentionally stepping away from the game's built-in goals of speed and wealth. She's playing her own game by her own rules and finding her own way to win.
And what's so cool is that this lines up perfectly with a well-known idea in game design called Bartle's taxonomy. It basically says there are different types of players. You've got achievers, who are all about points and winning and getting to the top of the leaderboard. But then you have explorers. They're motivated by curiosity, discovery, and just the joy of the experience. And Ever Otsar? She is the absolute poster child for the explorer. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit, because this is where it gets really deep. Ever Otsar's way of playing isn't just a style, it's a philosophy. It's a digital version of some very old and very powerful ideas about how to live.
Her approach is a fantastic example of this growing trend people are calling slow gaming or cozy gaming. It's this intentional choice to focus on the experience, not just efficiency. It's about savoring a digital world instead of just trying to conquer it, finding a sense of calm and meaning instead of just an adrenaline rush.
And that mindset connects perfectly with the traditional Japanese philosophy of Wabi-Sabi. It's this whole worldview that finds beauty not in shiny perfection, but in things that are a little imperfect, a little worn, a little humble. And man, when you look at the trail through the lens of Wabi-Sabi, the whole game just transforms.
Just think about it. Appreciating the simple stuff? That is exactly what Ever Otsar does. Finding treasure in a plain old rock. Acknowledging that things don't last forever? Well, that's the game's wear and tear mechanic. Her clothes aren't just breaking, they're telling the story of her journey. And finding beauty in imperfection? Well, that's her chaotic backpack, a messy but personal system she has to manage. It's literally Wabi-Sabi in digital form.
And there's another Japanese concept that fits like a glove. Mono no aware. It's that gentle, kind of bittersweet feeling you get when you realize something beautiful won't last forever. It's not depressing. It actually makes you appreciate the moment even more because you know it's fleeting.
The game brilliantly captures this feeling with a really unique mechanic. See, you never actually meet other players face to face. All you see are these faint ghosts, these echoes of other people who walk the exact same path you're on, just at a different time. It creates this amazing feeling of shared solitude.
So remember that stat from before? Players passed 62? Looked at this way, it's not a low score in some race. It's a record of 62 of those mono-no-aware moments. 62 quiet, fleeting recognitions of another traveler on the same road. A connection that feels special precisely because it's so brief.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, the really beautiful part of this whole story is that the philosophy of the trail, it doesn't just stop when you turn off the game.
When you boil it all down, you realize that the most important, most powerful mechanic in the trail isn't something you can see on the screen. It's not an item you can craft. It's the player's own mindset. It's the perspective you choose to bring to the journey.
The entire story of Ever Odzar is just a perfect illustration of that timeless piece of wisdom we've all heard. She's a reminder that the real goal isn't just to get to the end of the trail, but to find the beauty and the treasure in every single step you take along the way.
And that leaves us with one final question to kind of chew on. In your own journey, on your own trail through life, what are the small, imperfect, and fleeting things that you choose to call treasure? Where do you find yours?